Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. I want to talk about dungeons, big events, massive fleet battles, and instances that CIG have planned starting 2026. I mean, I suppose you could argue some of this starts in 4.4 in November, but there's a load of plans that CIG have had for events and for big activities and that sort of stuff. Lots of these are in the game now, some are going to be returning, and CIG are building a load more using instancing. At CitizenCon 2955, Star Citizen announced it would be using instancing for future content. Quite ironic, saying that they said for ages that they didn't want to have instancing, they wanted a seamless game, no loading screens, that sort of stuff, but they are going to be combining it with server meshing, basically allowing for more interesting tailored content and mission givers and experiences, and allowing that to be integrated into their seamless universe. This is going to be used in a load of different ways, from capping the amount of people that can go into an event to just having it for one particular party, allowing lots and lots of different groups to see the same mission giver at the same time or to do the same set of events. CIG say that instancing is going to start with the return of the Siege of Orozen in 2026, a combined arms but mostly FPS assault on some platforms on Crusader, and it will support up to around 20 players or so, but I suspect that people will do this in much smaller groups. I do also want to say that obviously CIG do use instancing for things like player hangars, and instancing is just very sensible gamification for Star Citizen to make their gamer actual reality rather than them try to work out silly ways of allowing for certain things that are roundabout ways of doing what you can just do with instancing. With the Siege of Orozen, you'll take a shuttle from the Orozen landing zone, and then you'll be going to the event, which will take like a minute or so. You'll be straight into the action. The Ninetales, a pirate organization, have largely won these platforms off Crusader, and there are loads of FPS NPCs there crawling around those areas. You'll need to hunt down the lieutenants across multiple platforms to get codes and keys off them, to activate shuttles, to basically get access to ships, and to turn off anti-air defenses. You'll fight across a variety of these platforms, and eventually this will allow you to assault the final platform, which is flying, so you'll have to get there via one of the many ships that you sort of liberated, and then you can attack and search the barge there and take down the main boss. Siege of Orozen might have evolved a little bit since we last saw it, but this is a great use of instancing because setting expectations and group size for something like this is essential in my opinion. I hate getting off the shuttle and then being gunned down by a group of PvPers. That's less likely to happen with this. They're making it much more like a dungeon in WoW, and they can lock these to just a group. They can make them open, and maybe you'll be able to choose in some form of lobby if we want a public version of this, if we want to join with randoms, if we want to try looking for group, if we want to go just with our party or raid. This is going to help prevent PvP ambushes and exploits in areas that they shouldn't really happen. I also hate it when you're running behind a group that's ahead of you and they're clearing everything and completing the next platform before you even got there. But instancing allows for tailored content at pace and puts ring fences around PvP and PvE gameplay or mixed gameplay. It is also going to be used for PvP experiences, but also social spaces and areas of landing zones or lobbies to wait in for an instance where you're putting together a group, as I said earlier, but also as an overflow part of server meshing. It adds to server meshing, is part of server meshing. These instances, like server meshing, will be seamless. You won't necessarily know that you've moved into the boundary of one. You'll seamlessly move between these areas. There's not a loading screen, but you can have a closed area effectively just for your party. It's likely that early instancing was probably what CIG had in mind with cooperative zones that they had originally talked about when they added the ASD facilities. I'm also expecting that a lot of previous events like Xenothreat may come back and become permanent additions to the game as instances, maybe a little evolved. Not currently planned, but a big sandbox activity, a permanent addition to the game is going to be Welcome to Nyx in 4.4. which is coming in November. This event is going to have you find a station in the Glacium Belt that's under attack by the Vandal. The station is going to be requesting help, and you can go and clear out those Vandal, although they'll keep on attacking in waves. You'll then have to land, and you'll have to deal with potentially hostile NPCs in an FPS skirmish. There's then a ton of stuff going on here and multiple other bases in the area. There's a parked Polaris. You can go and search all this stuff. You'll do some investigation work. So yeah, that's coming in 4.4, that's coming in November. Absolutely fantastic, super excited for that. But something planned a little bit later, you've got Siege of Orison early to mid 2026, and then you've got some tactical strike groups and PvE fleet battles that are going to be instanced for mid-ish 2026. So the tactical strike group they've been talking about at CitizenCon is a large asteroid base in Nyx, and will call for combined arms and different roles as part of a fleet battle. You'll need to approach the station and pick apart the defenses of the facility, fight past these turrets and stuff and the other fighters with smaller ships, because there are going to be these turrets that prevent you approaching. They're sort of super powerful anti-capital ship weapons. They will, however, ignore smaller ships and fighters. So yeah, you're going to assault these and take out their power sources or take them down in some way, that sort of stuff. And then maybe you'll need to use torpedoes and ballistics to penetrate their armor and shields. They sort of want to have a nice rounded loop of gameplay here, allowing for all roles in a fleet battle. You'll then be able to assault the station with some ships, targeting the components and facilities there. Capital ships still won't be able to get close enough because there's lots of distortion damage and lots of pew-pew going on. They'll keep you moving, so you'll be doing strafing runs with bombers, fighters, and that sort of stuff. They also want to put carrier and mothership gameplay in here as well, so you're going to be able to return to a carrier, rearm, repair, and refuel. You can use the People's Alliance Idris that will be part of this mission set or event if you don't have your own. And I say event quite wrongly because CIG go, look, this is a permanent addition to the game, a sandbox activity that is repeatable. Once you've disabled the station defenses, you'll be able to get your capital ships much closer, and then you'll use dropships to land or go on foot, attack the station, and you'll want to try and rescue some captives that are there, and then you'll extract them via a dropship. All while you're going to be attacked by the Vandal repeatedly, and they may even bring their Mauler Destroyer. Yeah, there's loads of stuff like that to do in game, and it might naturally happen as part of PvP or some sort of weird other PvE thing that's happening. I'm all for that. The Municipal Works is another instance dungeon that was originally announced at CitizenCon last year, but CIG talked about it and its updates. So they're moving it from Area 18 to Levski in Nyx now. This is going to have you going in and delving to fight outlaws, repair areas, turn on oxygen and water, things like that, supporting Levski as a landing zone. And it's going to be feeling like a mixture of low-tech asteroid mine and sewer with loads of outlaws and creatures and some investigation, puzzle solving stuff. Your progress is going to be saved as you go deeper, and I believe the plan is that you can just sort of keep on delving and delving for better and better and better loot, and there's just like loads and loads and loads and loads of levels. So that's some of the stuff they talked about at CitizenCon with strike groups, municipal works, Siege of Orison, that sort of stuff that's all coming. Welcome to Nyx. But there's loads of other stuff that's going to probably become an instance or will be put back in the game as a big event. Some of these you might not be aware of. Things like the new player tutorial or other tutorials, story missions, and the main Star Citizen story, because they're supposed to be like a main story quest that get you into all the different roles in game, take you through all the different star systems in 1.0, get you interacting with the different factions, that sort of stuff. So some of that stuff might become a bit instantized, or at least it's something to do, right? We've previously had Xenothreat, which was combined arms fleet battle, similar to what was talked about there, but more fleet combat. The first stage had you going to Little Nebula, going and grabbing some supplies to then bring back to a javelin to resupply it, and you had to sort of defend the javelin and defend the people grabbing those supplies, and eventually when that javelin was repaired it would jump out and there would be a big fleet battle against some Idrises and the Nine Tails. So stuff like that 100% is going to return, or some form of evolved version of that. And as we saw earlier, they are talking about those strike groups, and that's a perfect example of one in my opinion. There's also the barge heist, which they talked about a while ago, somewhere flying around Crusader. There'll be like a big barge, and you'll buy the location of this. You'll go there and assault it, and there's like Nine Tails and security forces, and you're getting there to try and loot as much as you can. Other players might be there. There's the ASD facility stuff, so this almost certainly will become some form of instance in the future, and there'll expand content out there in my opinion. There's contested zones, again, a prime candidate for instancing. There's raids on distribution centers. I think that's potentially something that will happen, or at least missions associated under distribution centers. they can go, yeah, let's instance these. And you can argue that the way server meshing works, it kind of can instance an area anyway. Seamless micro instances. CIG also talked about a rock cracker event, which potentially might be in later 2026 in Nyx. So you go to a station you find there that's got a big asteroid, and you power up the facility. It would break open the asteroid, and then you can get inside it, loot it. Maybe there's aliens in there. Maybe there's lots and lots of resources. I'd expect the Welcome to Nyx event as well to become an instance in the future. They've previously had things like Blockade Runner or the Nine Tails Lockdown, where they go, this area of space is locked down by pirates, and you need to get resources to the stations there and break the blockade. I think that could work pretty well with an instance. And then you've got all the other things in game, like Stormbreaker, Align and Mine. They probably would benefit pretty well from being instances, even if they're just more open instances. And having the option of being able to do them with your group might be really cool. I don't want all things in game to be a closable instance. I do think that would take away from PvP, but I do want some areas to be able to do that. This stuff will work really well as well for physical mission givers. Having a load of people go and see Recca Battaglia at Nyx. You don't want a queue, right, if possible. So just have them up an elevator where effectively that becomes an instance. Other instance gameplay areas, prison. Prison for prison escapes might work really well for that. They might not, but I'm just sort of thinking out loud there. And then it's likely that some encounters and some sort of quantum travel encounters and stuff like that will become instances. But as I said, a lot of this stuff is just going to roll into server meshing and evolve with that. But I'm interested to know what you think, and are you excited for any particular events that are going to be turning up? Obviously, we've got that Welcome to Nyx one in 4.4, and then early 2026, we've got Siege of Orison, and then mid 2026, we might start to see those fleet battles and stuff like that. Very excited for that, especially. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and something else that you should do is go to the links below, click yourself. No, don't click yourself, click on the link to NordVPN, nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. That will give you better security, privacy, and accessibility on the interwebs, and you get a big discount for going there. Why wouldn't you do it if you've already got it? If you've already got NordVPN, you don't need to get it again, but you could get it again. Don't get it again. Get it for a loved one. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and for October, because of CitizenCon and it's a big month for celebration, we are giving away 5 different ships to 5 different winners. They all come with a game package and lifetime insurance. We're giving away a C8X Pisces, the Arrow Light Fighter, the 100i luxury starting ship, the Sulen, a very cool, weird alien starting ship, and the Nomad from Consolidated Outland. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning one of those ships is comment on any of my videos made during October. Any of those are great to start the game with, or just as another ship in your fleet, or even as a lifetime insurance token to upgrade to something else. A big thank you as well to CIG for providing some of those ships for that giveaway. If you would like to further support the channel, consider becoming a Patreon or using the join button under my videos. That will get you some occasional exclusive content, and it really does help us out loads. Also, like, share, subscribe, that all helps tons as well. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and I hope you have a great October.